This week on Amazingly Terrible, we are watching 1986 Jim Henson The Christmas Toy.
Was it 86? I thought it was earlier than that.
No, it was 86. You're listening to Amazingly Terrible, the podcast that asks, does the difference between a Muppet and a puppet involve the willingness to do mouth stuff? My name's Adam.
I'm Mike.
I'm David.
Fuck, man. Oh, God. I mean, I guess a Muppet's already doing butt stuff, right? Like the hand is in its ass. So, I'm Derek. Let's get into this.
Nice. Excellent. I'm glad I got that reaction out of you guys. I was working on that a little while while you walked away. So
that was a good one, dude.
Well, we've taken a little bit of a break, so we're getting warmed up. This is good.
We're probably going to be pretty good tonight because we haven't been in the routine.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
We have some good jokes, some good off the cuff comedy. Yeah,
got good material.
For the behind the scenes, it's been over a month, right? It's been like a month and a half or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot to catch you up on. Like, the computer I used to edit the podcast died.
Oh no!
Oh, dead. Like,
did you lose data?
The USB ports all died.
Oh, okay.
Well, that still sucks, but it's not as bad as like total loss.
Yeah, at least you can pull the hard drive and hook that guy up.
Yeah.
The brain is good.
But that was like a month ago, so yeah.
The body is shit. Oh, that sounds
so
like
no wonder when the past couple weeks we've been like, I can't do it this week. We haven't gotten the usual fucking, slave driver David just being like, no.
The show must go on.
He's been like, yeah, we're fucking totally cool, just blowing this off for 5 weeks.
So we should have known.
Nice.
Actually decided to call a mulligan and readjust our release schedule.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed we did have a little bit of stutter stuff with some of the releases, but I think we're on track now to hit to do this one around Christmas time, right? This is still going to come out around Christmas.
Yeah, like the week after Thanksgiving, something like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Christmas season.
Yeah. Groovy. So, it has been so long that the news has come out that aliens exist. So, Derek, tell us about your experience with flying with UFOs.
Yes.
I don't have any UFO experiences, but I've got one real fucking weird one that happened over Iraq 15 years ago, 13 years ago. So we're at altitude over country. It was in the middle of the night because America fights at night, right? Like any military operations we do, we own the night. Like that is what we have learned over the years. Mm-hmm. Other people fight during the day. We don't do that because we don't have an advantage at night. Then we have a distinct advantage. So we flew predominantly all of our missions at night when we were over land. And it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're just sitting there. The cockpit is all red light, super dim, so you can see outside. There's no light. It was like a moonless night, you can see stars. That's about it. And right out the corner of my eye, we were at like 28,000 feet too. So we're way above any sort of altitude that there would be any threat, right? Like any threat coming down on us. And I shit you not, a flaming piece of something zipped right by the front of the plane, like probably 10 to 15 feet in front of the wing. And I turned to my flight engineer and I was like, "Did you see that?" And he went, "Fuck yeah, I did." And I was like, "Dude, that was a meteor."
And by a meteor.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, it's pretty much what we thought it was. Like, I'm 99% sure it was some sort of space debris coming down. And I was like, dude, how much does God hate our fucking guts if we're just out here flying over the Middle East and we just happen to be in the right place at the right time that a meteor just punched through our wing and blew our plane up? It was
Do you think it would ever be
me.
Well, this was actually evidence that God really loved you because he was like, "Hey,
he was like,
look at this. I'm not going to hit you. Don't worry, but look at this."
I'm gonna dude, it was.
That was divine intervention right there, man.
So the cockpit sat probably 25 feet in front of the wing, and it was slightly ahead of us. So I would say it was maybe 50 feet in front of the wing.
Damn.
And it just zipped past us, and it was gone as soon as we saw it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it was a flash, and it was like,
burning through the
oh, holy shit. But, dude,
Nice.
if that hit us, that would have punched through the wing, and it was moving so high. If it was a meteor, it would have immediately super ignited all the fuel in the wing, and then just, boom, it would have popped us like a fucking balloon. The good news is it probably would have been quick, and we would all have been smoked.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have known what would have happened at that point in time. It would have just been a
Yeah, it
total
would have
surprise.
just, bam, just blew us up. But
What do you think the
That's
official record would be? Like, do you think do you think it would have been like shot down over Iraq, or do you think there would have been like an investigation?
So they would have gotten the black box, and they would have pulled all the flight data from it, and they would have just essentially concluded that we exploded. Like we just happened to explode, and we were flying along fat, dumb, and happy, and then boom, we popped. Kind of like, what is it, TWA Flight 800 off of Long Island?
Yeah.
That was flying
what I was
out,
thinking.
and it just, boom, blew up. And that is one of those investigations where there's all kinds of conspiracy theories around it, because there is no hard data that points to one thing, right? Like, there's a pretty good idea that was before they put in the foam inside fuel tanks to stop fuel essentially atomizing itself in the tanks if you have errant voltage or whatever. But there's no look on the black box and saying, oh, hey, this piece of data is saying, like, yeah, all right, this fuel pump malfunctioned, it overpressurized this tank, and then this line shorted out. We have all the data that says this is why this plane blew up. That plane, from what we know from facts, was flying along fat, dumb, and happy, and then wham, it just popped, right? So that's what it would have been for us. Is they would have been like, we don't really know. And they probably would have come up with some explanation.
Well, they would have done an investigation, right? They would have, like, gone
Oh,
through
yeah, there
and-
would have been a huge investigation, and they would have figured out that the plane exploded. But I don't know if anything would ever point to the fact that whatever this flaming piece of sky debris that came down right in front of us, would it even show up? Or would they have looked in all the maintenance logs and pulled all the stuff and been like, oh, the plane had this malfunction and everything, and my ass in heaven drinking a beer's like, that's bullshit, a fucking meteor hit me. You idiots. It wasn't the reduction gearbox on number 4. No, it was a fucking rock from space.
Would you be able to talk to whoever was manning the radar that night and say, hey, did you happen to see a radar contact, or were you able to, like...
dude, this I mean, seriously,
fast
on a
and
lot of
small.
these missions, we're like, we used to have the patch with a fro pick on it that said we've been combing the desert for hours and we ain't found shit, like from Spaceballs. So a lot of the missions that I flew, and I think I mentioned this before, I have 196 different missions that we flew that were classified as combat missions. Man, probably 175, 180 of those were just like, we were doing everything in our power to stay awake.
Oh,
You're just
yeah,
up there and
yeah.
you're flying reconnaissance. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And ain't shit is going on, and you're just like, ugh. And we'd bring this stupid, like, church ladies in the Midwest are the absolute best care package senders of anybody else. So, like, if you're a forward deployed, member of the military, there are a lot of groups that get things together and they send it to servicemen and women who are forward deployed, especially around the holidays. And one of the best groups of people are old church ladies. All right, they come from different parishes or whatever you want to call different groups of church, and they're just really into sending you, or at least they were when I was deploying back in the day. They're really into sending you stuff. So especially at Christmas time, you would get these huge care packages, and they'd weigh 5 to 10 pounds, and they'd be full of baked goods and stuff that your grandma would get you. They'd also send us a shitload of those horned up romance novels that they like to read.
Nice.
Which are dirty as fuck if you've ever flipped through the pages of those.
Nice.
And then they'd send us a bunch of like people, like the not necessarily like tabloids, but like just one level above tabloids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Like junk
games we
food
would like to
magazines.
play. Yeah, so games we'd like to play on the road with these care packages when they come in, after we'd pass out the like 45,000 calories worth of fucking Meemaw's chocolate chip cookies that showed up to the crew is we'd play 2 games. One game was you would go through your People magazine, like, because they'd send a ton of them. They were like, you know what I'm saying? They're like last week, the previous week, or whatever. They'd go back like 5-6 weeks, and you get yours, and you tear out a celebrity, and then you'd give it to your friend face down, and then what they had to do is we'd have tape, and they had to stick it to the front of their baseball cap because everybody wore baseball caps flying, right? And then we'd play like 20 questions. You had to figure out who everybody's celebrity was on their head. And that was a fun way to pass the time because you just go through and like you'd be flying and we'd just be tearing out pages of People magazine and being like, oh, hey, it's Jennifer Lawrence or it's, Sylvester Stallone or it's fucking Pete Davidson or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. The other game we'd play is whenever we'd check out with the combat controlling authority, so the tactical caller, we'd pick one person on the crew who would then have to get one of these smutty romance novels, and they had to close their eyes, and then they had to just rifle through the pages and stop, and then they had to pick a page while their eyes were still closed and put their finger on the page, all right? And then whatever paragraph their finger was touching, they then had to read over something that we called AllNet, which would be like the PA system on an airline.
Oh, Lord.
And sometimes it would be like, and then Mike said, okay. We had multiple times where there was like throbbing members and engorged whiskey and all this stuff. And we had mixed gender crews too, like, right? Like there was girls who flew us, and on that debt that we were doing that, we also wore Christmas. One of the folks on the crew, her grandmother sent us all Christmas turtlenecks, and then on the flight that we wore on Christmas Eve, we were landing on Christmas morning. I actually have a picture of this. We're all in our tan flight suits and everything with these Christmas turtlenecks underneath it. But that whole debt, through that holiday period, that was one of the things that got us through. Is everybody on the crew wanted to hear the really, really dirty shit read from these romance novels, and you had to read the whole paragraph. So it was a full-blown sex scene. Guess what you were doing for the next 5 minutes? You were describing everything in detail, and everybody loved it. Everybody thought it was just hilarious and a fucking great time. So that
excellent.
No UFOs for me, but reading smutty romance novels from a CVS wire rack, and slapping celebrities to our foreheads, playing 20 questions. Yeah, that was more in line with what we did. No aliens. Sorry, guys.
Question for you, Derek, as an aviation buff. Has there been any ever recorded strikes of a meteor on an aircraft that we know of?
I don't know. And again, I don't know if what we saw was a meteor. All I can say is at the altitude that we were at, because there are some artillery systems that really launch shit fucking up there, and then it comes down, and we're like, oh, fuck, man, was that like some random mortar out of wherever? Nothing goes that high, right? Like nothing that it has the intent of coming back down to Earth, I guess, other than ICBM, but that definitely wasn't that.
No, the
isn't going
that
high. So, so what we think was a small meteor went blitzing by the front of our plane.
What's wild is like how many people in Russia have like dash cams and stuff, and like how often you see footage of meteors landing in Russia.
Nice. Although this has been speculated as the cause of a few puzzling crashes, there are no confirmed cases of an airplane being hit by a meteorite in midair.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because if you're flying along fat, dumb, and happy, and all of a sudden you just explode, like there's no equipment on the plane that's like, oh, hey, the fuel tank suffered an impact, right? There's nothing like, there's not like strain gauges in the wings or whatever that the plane is just going to be like, oh, hey, the wing 10/100ths of a second, or 1/10,000th of a second before the plane blew up had an impact in its wing. It would just be like, wow, the plane just blew the fuck up. Like the data was going and it was normal, and then it just stopped.
It just wasn't there. No.
Scary.
Yep.
Interesting.
So, anyways, that's our one of my claim to fames. That I'm 99% sure we almost got fucking hit by a meteor over Iraq one night.
Or an alien spaceship was shooting at you and just missed.
I mean,
and it flew off.
I feel like if you have the technology to go like light speed, You should probably have directed energy weapons and not be like lobbing flaming space rocks at me trebuchet style.
Unless they were fucking with you. It's like their version of doing the dick pic in the sky, you know? Just throwing some debris at a passing airplane.
Yeah.
All right, the Christmas toy was made in 1986 by the Jim Henson Company. It was released on December 6th, 1986 on ABC, sponsored by Kraft Foods. It follows the life of a rich-ass white family's toys as they grapple with the implication of Christmas and the arrival of new toys to supplant them as the new favorite toy of the children. Also, death. This was directed by Eric Till. The music was written by Jeff Moss. Those names really don't mean anything. Just figured we'd get a little bit of context for who made this shit.
I mean, the music is definitely Jim Henson Company level.
Oh yeah. Jeff Moss, I think, is actually credited with a bunch of different Jim Henson songs, or different songs using different Jim Henson properties. So they did make new Muppets for this film. However, Kermit the Frog was used to introduce the film and then also to do like a little outro for it. However, those parts that involve Kermit were actually cut for the 2008 DVD release because there were some intellectual property rights issues with Disney after they purchased the core Jim Henson characters. However, in the most recent releases to streaming services, Kermit was added back in. So the Kermit erasure has been fixed already. So
Corrected.
The cast for this little ditty is Rugby the Tiger, who is a stuffed tiger, Apple, a Raggedy Ann type doll, Mew, a mouse-shaped cat toy filled with catnip, Meteora, a space-themed toy, and then a bunch of other side character toys that are just all over the place. Yeah. So this film actually inspired a spin-off television series called The Secret Life of Toys that aired in 1994, which actually used the exact same characters except for like slightly changed. I think Apple was made a little bit more tomboyish, and I think like one of the horses was slightly different, but otherwise it was the same characters.
Was it still like live-action puppets?
Yep, still live-action puppets. Yep, and it's basically like the exact same premise. It's just it's not necessarily Christmas. So I haven't gone through and watched all those. I figured I'd add The Secret Life of Toys to the list. So, and The Secret Life of Toys actually aired in 1994, which was 1 year before Toy Story. So like all of this came out before Toy Story did. Huh. And online there's always like a lot of comparisons to Toy Story because there's a lot of like similar premises, but I wasn't able to actually find like a direct connection between the two.
So what you're saying is that Disney ripped off another IP, branded it as their own, and then acted innocent.
No, Pixar ripped off another IP, branded it as their own. Disney purchased Pixar, and then Disney purchased the original IP. So Disney just owns all of it. So
yeah, right. Like, and then they don't pay their writers.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot of corporate gymnastics right there.
Or send out residual checks. Oh yeah, dude, Disney's the fucking worst, dude.
It's like the giant monopoly of entertainment that nobody wants to stop because everybody loves their shit.
So. They're kind of stopping themselves, so...
Does everybody really love their shit?
I mean, they have the highest grossing movies of all times with all the Marvel movies.
I mean,
okay.
And I think people like them a lot better than Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers is like a corporate entity designed to shit on your childhood to make money. Whereas
tell us how you really feel.
I mean, that's literally what Disney is.
No, Disney is a corporate entity that stimulates your nostalgia for money. So they don't necessarily shit all over your childhood. They just sort of like put their finger underneath it and tickle it a little bit, you know?
I feel like that's what Lego's doing right now.
They do some butt stuff with you.
Like, isn't that the job of every company to just like get you to separate yourself from your money?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's capitalism, yeah.
Yeah.
But still.
So, anyways, getting back to this, I guess what would it be? A holiday special made for TV movie?
Yeah,
it was like 50 minutes long or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was like 50, 55 minutes. I think it was like an hour with commercials because they had limited commercials because it was brought to you by Kraft. So, but I think it was just supposed to fill an hour block. That's the funny thing is, like, of all the stuff that I was looking at online, I didn't even find the original air time. I can only find the date. So, like, there's a very limited amount of information about this particular movie, which kind of surprised me because there's also a lot of nostalgia wrapped up into this. Because I've actually listened in the last 2 years to at least like 3 separate podcasts that has talked about this movie. So
really,
yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts though, and a lot of podcasts about like movie makers.
So question number 1.
Sure.
I would have been 3 when this came out, so I do not remember this. Do you guys remember ever watching this as kids?
Oh yeah, I watched this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. And that's the reason why I chose
6,
this.
So.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I chose this is because I have core memories associated with this movie to the point where it actually affected my behavior as a child.
What?
So, I didn't want to kill my fucking toys.
Aww.
Man, yeah, this one was not on my radar at all.
You have a kind heart, Adam. That's nothing to be sad about. That's a
I'm not
memory.
I'm not sad about it. I'm just saying I
don't
don't want to
sound
kill my
embarrassed.
toys. I'm not embarrassed. I just didn't want to kill my toys.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
well,
oh shit, did I leave that place? Oh fuck, it moved, didn't it? Damn it, I just killed him. Shit. I gotta sing this fucking song again?
Well, it wasn't your fault.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they really didn't
Damn
clearly explain the like blinked out of existence mechanic at all.
And I think that's the reason why this was a little bit more of a this movie was a little more terrifying for me in the existential sense. Like it did fill me with like some existential dread that I was like killing my friends as a child. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say dread, but like, dude, the first 5 minutes of when I watched this the first time, I was like, holy fuck, was like toys in the 80s like that? I don't want to say creepy, but like creepy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that how it was?
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It's the
yeah.
creepiest friggin' toys. Like, there's so many weird toys of the 80s. Like, the monkey that tapped on the cymbals.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't just in a movie.
Yeah.
That was an actual toy.
It was meant to be a toy that they turned into a horror movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Monkey Shine. Yeah.
Yeah, the puppet design is not very Henson. It looks more like the early Sid and Croft stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. But it is supposed to actually mimic very closely toys though. So like a lot of the toys did look like that back in the day. So
I'll tell you what, though, watching this gave me serious Farscape flashbacks because that's another Henson production, and I'm like, way to capitalize on Farscape, the whole like Muppet thing. But it was also nicely done that you almost forgot that Farscape was a Henson production.
yeah. But no, that actually is a good point because it has similar warm tones to it. It does have similar design for the actual Muppets themselves, where you're looking at like Rigel.
Yeah.
Or was his name
pilot.
Rigel? Was he a Rigelian?
No, he was
I think it's both.
Dominar Rigel III.
Dominar Rigel III, yeah. And then the Navigator, or the pilot rather.
Yeah, pilot.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Anyway.
So we start off at the Joneses' house, and the Joneses are a
Yeah.
family of 5 with a cat. And we learned very quickly that the Joneses are fucking rich-ass white New Englanders. Because we start off with Kermit pretending to be Santa, falling down a fireplace into the kids' toy room. The kids have a dedicated room for their toys that also has a fucking fireplace in it.
Well,
But does it have a big screen TV?
a lot of those
It
New
does
England-
now.
Okay, let me just kind of interject here because you're from the West Coast. A lot of
I'm
these
from
old
the
New-
West Coast.
Well, you're not from it, but you've.
I mean,
I live in the
he's
West
got a
Coast
good
now.
point.
Yeah.
But old New England houses, especially gigantic ones, had fireplaces in every room because it was impossible to heat other than have a fireplace in every room, especially if it's an old ass house. So
that's fair.
They could be rich. It could be a generational house, but then again, there's a lot of really big ass houses that used to be cheap back then. Like, come on, this is 1986. That house was probably $200,000 and was considered obscenely expensive.
Yeah, I mean, $200,000 back then, that was like $300 million. So.
Especially after COVID.
I'm with Mike on this one. Like, coming from the old school, like the Northeast, fireplaces in multiple rooms, multiple chimneys, stuff like that, was not necessarily a sign of wealth. That was just a sign of, like, the house is a bazillion years old, and that's just how it is. Now, there's other signs of wealth in the show, like the fact that both parents keep shoes on the entire time. Like, who wears heels after the children have gone to bed? Who then has leather house shoes that they walk around in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
not normal people.
Yeah. And then there's also the fact that there are 3 children. Each of them have their own room. And then they also have a laundry room. They also have a toy room. And then, of course, like all the grade rooms and everything like that. So what do we got? We have 5 bedrooms at the very least. Probably 6 bedrooms in this place.
And this is just a second floor.
And that's just the second floor, yeah. And then also, like, you have, like, the father on, like, one side of the house, and, like, the mother is, like, not necessarily screaming, but at, like, a very high volume calling out to the father. Like, he can't hear her from that distance while she's giving him, like, tasks to do and chores to do.
So, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but, like, he's following her around in multiple scenes. You think he's just trying to get some action?
Yes.
He's so like, it's Christmas Eve.
Attention.
It's Christmas Eve. I've done my duties. Can I at least, get an OTPHJ? Like, shit.
Nice.
Merry Christmas.
And she's like, directing him around. She's like, oh, hey, go do this. He's like, yeah, no problem. And he comes back, and he's like right behind her, like 12
like
inches
runs
behind.
back. Yeah.
Like, hey.
No, yeah. And they're also, like, yelling at the kids to go back to bed constantly. So,
the ultimate sign of wealth is the fact that they have a lit fire in the toy room on Christmas morning when they're ordering everybody to go to breakfast.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what kind of fucking fire hazard is that? And then I was like, oh, that's a fire hazard that rich people don't have.
Yes. That they don't have to worry about.
Either that or the dad is just a super dad, and he had that fire lit early in the morning because he knew the kids were going to be up. Like, can we,
dude? Because he pulled some fucking ass that night.
So,
like, he's up and at him the next morning. He's like, hell yeah, I got some stank on my hang down. He's
got some spring
on
in his
top
step.
of this.
No, you know that Mr. Belvedere was going from room to room lighting those fires. They had Benson on that.
Even obscene 80s wealth didn't have a butler in it. Well, I don't know. I'd give you that, too.
At the very least, the cleaning lady. They probably gave him Christmas off, so.
The level of, like, house attire that they were wearing.
Oh,
like
crazy.
No. Like the slippers with the stockings and the robe.
Right, like.
Yeah.
Who in 2023 is wearing, like, floor-length pajama pants with leather slippers with a robe and everything at night? Like, dude.
You can't even get me in a shirt these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at night, I'm rolling out of bed with my fucking dong hanging out. Just like, fuck you.
You got another couple years before you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And then I'm going to be fucking bundled up like a goddamn Everest fucking hiker.
Yeah, there's and I think the kids are actually all dressed completely in like full pajama outfits. Like when I was a kid, I didn't have that shit. I had like maybe some like terry cloth pants and a t-shirt, something like that.
Yeah, we had footy PJs as kids, and then as we got older, like we wore like oversized t-shirts.
Yeah.
Like that was the like eventually you graduated to that in a summer, and it was I don't know about like 7 or 8 years old, and then you wore your dad's extra large t-shirt, and it was this nightgown for lack of a better term. And then it would go to wintertime and your mom's like, you got to put your footies on. You're like, no. And then that's what it was. Because you wore these giant-ass T-shirts. Like,
the footies.
Yeah. Well, anyway, these rich-ass crackers, they got a toy room, right? And Kermit's in there. And Kermit shows up and says, hey, check out what happens in this room when the Joneses aren't looking. Then he climbs
and
up the
a bunch
chimney
of drug
and
deals
disappears.
go down.
You got that fentanyl? Yeah.
Turns out the Joneses are a bunch of narcs.
All the toys come to life all of a sudden. They start dancing and singing. Then the kids show up to play, and all the toys rush to return to their original positions and like become inanimate again. And then the kids are forced to go to bed by their parents. Because it is Christmas Eve. So we get the quick premise of the movie. We get like a quick rundown from the toys. First off, it's Christmas Eve. Secondly, not all toys know what Christmas is about. They just know that that's when they joined this toy commune. Each Christmas, a new toy comes in and replaces the old toys as the new favorite. The old toys have to make sure they welcome the new toys because it is disorienting for the new toys to join this commune. And then if the toys are found in a different spot than where they were left by humans, they become frozen forever, or they die, basically. They fucking killed the toys. So, and also, racism still exists in toy forms because a cat toy is lesser than a normal kid's toy. So, that's it. That's like the rundown. That's like the whole conceit of this entire movie. So,
But they never explain precisely how the toy dies. Like, right? Like, it's not like, hey, you're alive and a human sees you and you immediately collapse. Because they talk about leaving the toy room all the time, and then if you get caught, you're frozen in place. And there's a couple scenes that happen, like the clown who gets absolutely fucking no-scoped like 15 minutes in. Like, I don't think anybody actually saw him. He just kind of went into the hallway and the light was on and then poof, gone.
No, they saw him because I think the mom picked him up. The mom makes a comment of like, oh, these kids leave their toys all around, and picks them up and puts them in the toy room.
But he already collapsed. Like, that was the
Yes.
thing, is he
but
already reverted back to toy status, so like how is that any different than the other toys reverting back to toy status?
It's because he was found in a different position than where he was left. So there's like a cosmic rule, essentially, that if a toy is in a different position than where it was left last, no matter who left it where they left the toy, if the toy is out of place and therefore reveals that it can move, basically, then it gets frozen forever. Then it gets killed.
Right. So that makes sense. And we're trying to apply like rules and logic to this, and that would explain why Mew doesn't die, because Mew's a cat toy. So Mew realistically can be found anywhere in the house at any given time.
Except
like,
Mew does die, though.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, none of this makes sense. Like, if you want to logically look at it from a real nerd, real bunch of D&D nerd perspective here, is the fact that, yes, your toys played with by the humans, who are all left in place by the humans, should not therefore move until they're interacted with by the humans. But Mew, who is a cat toy and then grows up to be a toy, should be essentially at any given time, the cat should be able to get him and move him around the house. So he has an excuse actually not to die. Like, he should be immune to that curse. Because
that is true, but I think that they treat the cat the same as they treat humans, essentially. So the cat can put it anywhere in the house, and as long as it's back in that same position, no matter who finds it, then it's fine. Then Mew is fine. But because the same is true, like if the kids play with a toy, then like throw it in the backyard, and then the parents find the toy in the backyard, that's fine because the kid put it there. And then when the kid sees the toy again, it's back in their room because their parents moved it. That's still fine too, because the parents.
But that's
moved
not how they sold it.
See, I'm thinking of it more pragmatically. What happens is, it moves, and the parents say, "Who moved this?" And the kids say, "Not me." And then the parent says, well, if no one moved it, then I'm just going to move it to the trash. And that's how they die, is because no one wants to own up that they moved it because no one actually did. And then the parents get pissed off and they get thrown away because no one knew who moved it.
Or what's even better is like the parents grab the toy and they're like, who moved this? And the kids are like, I don't know, must have moved on its own. And the parents are like, okay, let me just stab it in the head real quick.
Yeah.
Like, there you go.
Parents
Now
get
won't move
pissed off
anymore.
and they rage kill it. That's my headcanon.
See, I went a bit deeper and like after they're frozen, like the spark of life is gone from them, and the kids don't play with that toy anymore, and then they get thrown away because they're not being used.
Actually, that kind of, I kind of like that idea.
That's
because there
deep.
is a scene in here that kind of feeds into that a little bit, and we'll get to that in a second.
And that's why there's that one old bear in the back that
Just like never moves.
is still there, even though no one really plays with them.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the premise of the movie. We got that there. Essentially, what we do for the rest of the movie is we're following the journey of Rugby, the tiger, who's trying to get to the Christmas tree so that he can take his rightful place as the Christmas toy, since he was the Christmas toy last year. Rugby leaves, and then Ditz the clown, who's an idiot, basically goes to call after Rugby by sticking his head out the door and calling for Rugby. The mom sees Ditz and fucking dies. Just right there. He's dead. He's dead for the rest of the movie.
This is my 360 no-scope fucking joke. It's like, Ditz just pokes his head around the corner and gets fucking popped.
And all the
Game
toys
over.
are upset. The toys are actually mourning. They actually have a whole moment of mourning over the body of Ditz right before they throw Ditz onto the pile of other dead fucking toys.
They have a funeral procession for him. They put him on a fucking flatbed and tow him around.
And it's like there are 3 other toys at least there in that fucking pile. So yes, David, you might be right. It's just like those are the dead toys. Those are the toys that just don't get played with anymore. And they're in that pile because the kids aren't picking them up and playing with them at all. So those are going to be the ones that get donated to Goodwill next. Oh shit, does that mean that poor kids only have dead toys? Oh shit. Oh my god. Oh.
How classist of you.
God.
Oh,
Oh, that's bad.
how did you even get there?
Because they're going to donate the toys, right?
It's so
They're
dark,
dead
but
toys.
yes, it's so true.
Oh god. Those poor kids.
All right.
Those
Now-
poor kids.
You're not wrong.
All right. Mew, the cat toy, is Rugby's mistreated best friend that everybody shits all over because he's a cat toy filled with catnip, and they're always talking about how he smells bad because it's catnip. Anyway.
Let me run down some voices real quick.
Oh, sure. Go for it.
Rugby has the voice of Gonzo.
I didn't even put that together. Nice. That definitely does sound just like Gonzo.
Mew has the voice of Wembley Fraggle.
Yeah, I hear it.
Apple is using the voice of Cotter Doozer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is a doozer. Nice. There's a lot of
And I didn't look any of that up. That's just what I can hear.
Just from the top of your head. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, do we have Fraggle Rock on the list? Maybe we should have Fraggle Rock
definitely.
on the list. Okay, good. The cartoon or the live action series?
I think we have both.
Nice. Sweet. All right. So anyway, Mew decides to head out on his own to go join Rugby or find Rugby to either try to get him to come back or at the very least like be his sidekick for the rest of the quest. So the rest of the toys, shortly after that, form a rescue party of their own to go head out and find Rugby and bring him back. Pretty much the entire story is they're traversing the house to get to the tree, and they're just dodging humans, whatever. Like the kids come out because they want to see all the presents under the tree, or the parents come out to put the cat out, or they hear a noise or whatever. So that's pretty much the entire thing. Rugby and Mew wind up making it to the tree at just about the same time that Apple and the rest of the rescue party does. And there, Rugby rips open the biggest box under the tree, which releases a new toy, Meteora. And Meteora is a space-based toy that is almost like a toned-down version of Commander Makara from Bomber X. If you've been following our other hit podcast. So
Can we before we get to that, can we talk about the cab driver?
we can if you want to. The New Yorker cab driver.
What was his name?
The stereotypical cab driver.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Benny, but I actually don't. I don't know.
So he was this little like weeble wobble. He was real smooth in his gift for gab, because at one point in time, Apple was like, she asked him about something about speed, and he said something like that, and she's like, "It's going to be dangerous," and he's like, "Baby, you just said the magic words," and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I believe his name was Cruiser. I believe.
Oh yeah, Cruiser, that was his name. And anyways, he drove this like 1985 Lincoln Continental with the roof chopped off, and evidently that was the fastest thing they had. And he was my favorite character in the whole thing, because everything he did was ridiculous.
Nice, yeah. Because
like,
I think at some point in
was
time,
a douchebag. Like let's address that right now. Rugby sucks.
Rugby was like a total asshat. Yeah, he was basically the privileged white man of this entire TV show.
And Apple was
movie.
just
that's a tough competition.
Terrible. So thank God for fucking Cruiser, because he brought that shit home.
Yeah, I think that the line was when Meteora sees him, she says, "What does this vehicle run off of?" And he was like, $1 to start and 10 cents every mile after that.
Yeah, he gives her his rate.
So Meteora thinks that she's the queen of the asteroids, because that's what her toy basically is. And she has to be talked down and like basically convinced that she's actually a toy and she needs to get back in the box. But while she's off doing that and other people are talking to her, or other toys are talking to her, Apple is confronting Rugby, and this is when we learn that Apple was the Christmas toy before Rugby. And Rugby is very touched by that and then says, "Well, I'm not willing to give up as quickly as you are. I'm still going to be the Christmas toy," and gets in the box. So there's a lot of like heart-to-heart talk after that, or rather felt-to-felt talk. They're eventually able to convince Rugby to get out of the box. It's mainly Mew that convinces him to get out of the box. And they get Meteora back into the box. I think during all this also, the dad shows up to check on the racket that they're making, because they're making so much fucking noise throughout this entire movie. Mew winds up pretending to be the cat by meowing, and it's just enough to convince this rich-ass cracker that's coming out to investigate to just be a lazy ass and go back home, go back to bed, instead of just trying to deal with the burglars that are inside his house. So,
yeah, because he clearly put the cat outside earlier.
He did.
That's right. He must be, having some hot toddies.
If that's what you want to call it nowadays. But anyway, Mew basically is able to prove the worth of a cat toy by doing this, and thus ends toy racism forever. Yay. On the way back to the playroom, Mew gets whacked. The mom comes out, sees Mew just standing there and nonchalantly grabs his corpse, and off-screen ostensibly just gives the corpse to the cat, because the next scene we see the cat running with Mew, dragging his dead corpse back down to its den, and then runs off. So then Rugby goes to the cat bed to give his own personal eulogy for one over Mew's dead body, and starts singing the Christmas toy song, which is like old friends, new friends, da, 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 da. I can't even remember what all of it is. But that singing winds up bringing Mew back to life. There's no other explanation. Everybody's like kind of surprised about it, but nobody's like overwhelmed by the miraculous feat of reviving the dead within this toy society. But when Mew comes back to life, Rugby asks him about the afterlife.
Right.
And Mew describes it as a cold, terrible nothingness. And then he felt some warmth and woke up. And that was the song. So they are creating a terrifying nothingness for the afterlife to teach kids about. And that's where their toys go when they look at them wrong.
I was really surprised this story went here.
Yeah, I was Well, I was not, because I remember this from when I was a kid. I mean, this is the reason why This is the reason why I have like such a weird memory associated with this movie, because I do like the movie. I thought it was a good movie. Like even as an adult, like I'm watching it and I actually am enjoying a better portion of it. It's well made, good puppet design. The music is actually pretty good, but also being catchy, but not like overly like annoying the way that Strawberry Shortcake was. But it has terrifying subject matter in it, just like. Like if I had a child, I would teach them about death by just showing them this movie. Like, here you go. That's all you need to know.
But I mean, are you really teaching them about death? Because at the end, the fucking clown that got no-scoped just comes back to life. Like Mew, it makes some semblance of sense.
Maybe,
and then in the musical number at the end,
that's
the
true.
first time I watched it, I saw the clown come back, and I was like, okay. And then today I was watching it right before dinner, and I was like, oh, holy shit, he's back. And they didn't address this at all. Like, Mew was like, I did this, and then your love for me brought me back, and I'm like, okay, makes sense, whatever. And then the clown is just there, and I'm like, fuck.
No, that's true, because the very next scene is, like, all the other toys singing the same song that Rugby was singing. Right. And then slowly, the bodies of all the dead toys become animated. So we have, like, these weird zombie toys coming back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And nobody says anything about it. Like they're just like, oh, they're back, yay, okay, let's continue to sing and dance.
The clown is the demon lord. He rules them all.
And then Rugby and Mew enter the room. So they weren't even there before to tell the other toys to do this.
Yes, yeah, it just sort of happened, just simultaneously. It was just like coincidentally happening at the same time. So.
I like the theory. It's like the Gilligan's Island theory. The most hapless one is always the ringleader. Just like Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord.
I thought it was the Gilligan's Island theory that their island was actually like Hawaii, and all they had to do was like walk around to the other side of the island to get to civilization.
Oh.
And they just wasted their entire lives.
No, all of the Gilligan's Island members are... exemplify one of the 7 deadly sins, except for Gilligan, who's Satan, who's actually holding them on the island as a form of purgatory.
And the skipper, who is 2.
The skipper has to be 2 for this theory to work. Yeah.
He has to be 2 sins, or he has to be
2 sins.
He's wrath,
greed, and sloth. Oh, wrath.
Wrath and no, the professor was sloth because how many seasons went by?
No.
It wasn't.
Mrs. Howell was sloth.
Mrs. Howell
was sloth. Yeah.
The professor was pride because he could make a radio out of coconuts.
Okay, then House.
We all know who Lust was.
The third. He was great. Yeah, what was Marianne? Envy.
Yeah.
All right.
Or it was Ginger who was envious of Marianne? I don't remember.
No, Ginger was the knockout
Lust.
redhead.
Yeah.
She was Lust, yeah. So
I don't know. I thought Marianne
envy.
was the hotter one.
I think everybody did.
As did
honestly.
Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. And, okay, so...
Ginger was just like the bombshell,
Gluttony.
but nobody wanted to fucking deal with her.
Too much of a diva.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yas, queen. Well, okay. So anyway, the outro for this whole movie, the very, very ending of this whole movie, we get Meteora showing up, and she seems to be, adapting to toy life well. Mewtwo shows up, and Mewtwo is basically an exact same cat toy as Mew, except for a lady. So, ooh la la.
And also in good repair.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then Kermit shows up to tell us that everything worked out fine, and then they continue to sing the New Friends, Old Friends song over and over and over again. So, beep. That's pretty much it. That's the movie.
I mean, that's probably about as good of a summary as you can give on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a lot of fluff in the middle of that.
There's a lot of songs. I mean, this is a Jim Henson property,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of like dancing and singing. So
I could never get into musicals as a kid, and every time the music, like songs, I remembered, like I watched this and I didn't remember the musical numbers, and it's because I could recall walking off during every time they started singing.
Oh,
So you saw this as a kid, Mike?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was into the Muppets, so I saw
honestly
all things Muppets, and
I'm pretty sure we all saw it. Like, honestly, I would be surprised if you did not see it, Derek. You probably just don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure you probably did see it. Because I feel like it was a big deal when it came out in 1986. It was like the perfect thing to just plop your kid in front of and walk away. For this movie, the biggest thing, as I mentioned earlier, is online, a lot of people talk about the similarities between this and Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
And Toy Story, like I mentioned, was made in 1995, so 9 years after this. Since I didn't find a whole lot on the Christmas toy, I did do a little bit of a dive into Toy Story. Not too much, because I'm sure we're going to do Toy Story at some point in time, so I wanted to kind of leave the meatier parts of that for later on. But Toy Story is like so attached to the beginning of Pixar that honestly it could be like a 3-hour show if we really wanted to do it justice, but we're not going to do that. So from what I was able to find, there's no direct source citing that John Lasseter, one of the founding members of Pixar, drew inspiration for Toy Story from this film. It is just stated that John Lasseter loved toys as a concept, and that's one of the reasons why it was the subject matter of their first movie, but also it is the subject matter of the first Pixar short, Tin Toy,
Tin Man,
which was produced in 1988. And I told you guys about this earlier today. Derek, I know you saw it.
Oh, dude, I watched it while I was making dinner. It is...
Yeah. it is nightmare fuel.
It's not a bad
premise.
It's nightmare fuel from essentially the character models that they use.
Yes. It's the CG that they wind up getting to.
Yeah. Remember the dancing baby that got really popular with the Felicity show?
The late 90s. It was like 1997, 98.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine that in a more unrefined... Like, it rolls in at the beginning of this short, and you're just like, what in the fucking Jesus Christ? Babies don't look like that. Like, that's like a 70-year-old baby. What the hell? It's a mess.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. David and Mike, did you guys watch it?
Yeah.
You did? Yeah. So, basically, it is a giant CG baby. The whole premise of the short is it's a giant CG baby that's torturing a bunch of toys. And the main toy is the Tin Toy, and some sort of like weird combination of like a human and train, but it's a like one-man band basically. And initially, the first round of Toy Story was supposed to be starring the Tin Toy because John Lasseter just liked that model so much, but they gave up on that concept pretty quickly, and they designed the Woody and Buzz Lightyear characters.
Much more likable.
But that's pretty much it. That's all the information I got. That's the end of my notes.
For Tin Toy, I really liked what he hid under the couch, and there were a bunch of other toys there that were also hiding under the couch.
Yeah, all the toys were cowering to stay away from the baby. Yeah.
No, he just like discovered this society of toys that had previously hidden from the baby.
Yeah. I like that. They just had like an underground civilization.
Yeah.
They actually like start building infrastructure into the couch. Yeah. That'd be pretty good. Anyway, what'd you guys think? I liked it. I think I mentioned that already, but what'd you guys think of it?
It was enjoyable. It brought back memories.
Anything in particular that brought back memories?
Just the fact that I remember walking off during the musical scenes. I'm like, oh, another song. Time to go up and get another juice box. I don't remember what I did, but, you know.
Yeah.
I remember skipping all the musical scenes. I liked some of them. They were catchy, but as a kid, I don't know. I guess my attention just wasn't into the song.
Yeah.
The songs.
I mean, the songs were simple enough that like kids could get them and sing them and whatnot, but they weren't like so jingly that they'd be stuck in your head forever.
Yeah.
The way that Strawberry Shortcakes did. So.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of catchy songs out there. Like Fraggle Rock is in my mind as like top 5.
Yep, up there with the X-Men animated series song. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
All right. So for the majority of this, I guess you could say all the way up until you had Rugby talking to Mew. The entire time I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I was just like, okay, this is 80s kind of trash. And then all of a sudden at the end, like, I got fairly emotional. I was like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. So I really, really kind of finished on a high note. I don't know if that's because, I have a kid and Christmas and everything else and all the kind of the lessons and the, you know what I'm saying? Like the message it's trying to drive is very positive and everything. But like, I was just like, oh, wow. And then I was like, why the fuck is the clown still alive? Because dude got no-scoped like 12 minutes in.
So you're like slightly emotional. It's like, oh, it's Christmas. I got a kid.
No, I was actually fairly emotional the first time I watched it. I was like misty at the eyes while they were singing the song, and it was Christmas Day. I mean, Christmas is also my favorite holiday, and I have multiple very, very positive memories as a kid about Christmas, and I want to make sure that my daughter grows up with the same memories, the same love for the holiday that I had. But yeah, for the majority of it, I wanted Rugby to just get punted in the fucking trash. Like, he sucked. Like, I was just like, this is ugh.
Yeah. Like all these other toys are giving their lives to rescue this one asshole who just, wanted to recapture the glory of his youth, basically.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I'm going to go get in the box on Christmas Day. And you're like, oh, come on, man. No, I mean, it was good. Do I want to show this one to my daughter? I just think there's better ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it was cool for the concept that it was, and the fact that it was Jim Henson's Muppets doing a new puppet Muppet show for Christmas holiday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To her, as she grows up, this is just going to be the shit they're putting out nowadays is much higher production. And like that's really what it boils down to. It's like, yeah, it's a great message. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's really good messages out now too, but it was sweet, and maybe I will show it to her. Meteora was fucking horrifying looking though. Like, let's talk about the design for that toy.
Yeah.
God damn.
I mean, I really do feel like she was very much akin to Commander Makara. So
yeah, like, and it wasn't the fact that they could have made a female character. Like, I get it, they were making her tough and intense and everything else, but like the Barbie doll that they had going on looked very fine. Like, it looked like a Barbie.
That's something I failed to mention. That's another thing that a lot of people connect with Toy Story is apparently in Toy Story. I don't remember this because it's been a very long time since I've seen that movie. But in Toy Story, they also have a Barbie character that is very indecisive about the clothes that she wears. And that was like the one Barbie joke in this movie, which was she was going to come on the rescue mission, except she couldn't decide what she was going to wear for it. And she just was continuously changing outfits.
Oh, dude, this show, that's whatever you want to call it, special movie, whatever. Anybody at Pixar who worked on the OG Toy Story, if you bring this up and they feign innocence on it, it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you have Buzz Lightyear coming in, and he's trying to go to like whatever sector this, and you have Commander Makara coming in and being like, who's the fucking leader of the chess pieces?
Yeah.
Dude, it's the same shit.
Trope. Yeah.
It's the same fucking shit. Like, come on, Pixar.
Yeah.
Disney, pay your writers.
Good point. Yes. David, did you like this? Do you remember this? Do you have good fond memories?
I actually remember it being darker than it is. I thought Rugby actually like stayed in the box and got opened.
Oh, and then he got killed. He got offed. Yeah.
And then the kid's like, "What the hell is this?"
You gave us the same toy. Fuck you, Mom and Dad.
That's a dark version right there.
We're gonna kill your ass one day. No. Here's the question: would we keep this on our list?
I like it. Well, I don't. Well, who cares what you don't like? I care.
What?
But there's only one of these, right?
Yeah, I'm just fucking around. Well, Mike, I don't think you said, would you actually let little boy and little girl watch this? Like, would you have
they already watch enough weird stuff as it is. Like Derek was saying, it's just the production of it. There's better Christmas stuff out there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I went to a really weird place at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this serves a great place in our nostalgia, but not everything needs to be brought forward and shoved into our kids' faces.
Why did they not? Why did the toys not? At 3 a.m. on a Tuesday or something like that, when everybody's going to be like deeply sleeping, getting ready for school the next day or work the next day, why did they not just go and get every knife from the kitchen and just murder this family? and then they don't got to worry about shit. They can do whatever they want to all over the house.
Off with their
Dude,
heads.
affluent East Coast, baby. Like, you can't fucking bite the hand that feeds.
They got to keep the heat on, otherwise the toys will freeze. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in the last scene they had that fireplace on.
Yeah.
Like, who set that fire?
Yeah.
The humans.
Like, it was Dad, man. Like,
It was dead bad.
I sometimes win.
Dad man.
there was probably like a truce between the dad and the toys, where he was just like, "Listen, I know your bullshit's going on. I got you."
I like that idea, actually. Like
Cool
the dad wakes up one morning to like a knife sitting on the floor outside of his bedroom, and he was like, "You know what? I think the toys are up to something. I know. I feel it in my crotch. You know what? I'm gonna start locking the door to the toy room and setting a fire in there every night."
Why do you think Toy Story it was only a mom?
Oh,
Toys had to eliminate the dad.
Nice.
They had to fucking whack his ass out of the picture.
Nice. Oh yeah. What if that's the case? What if like Toy Story is actually the continuation of this? After there was like a big battle between the toys and the rest of the family, and only the mom and the son got away. And the mom is always like checking up on the toys and like trying to do her best to like catch them moving so she can kill them. Otherwise, the kid will have like PTSD if all the toys are taken away.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right, that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna write Christmas Toy 2, Christmas Toy Story 2.
I like how
Story.
we're going from Christmas Toy Story, or whatever, Christmas Toy 2, the fucking or whatever we're gonna call it. It's a horror movie. It's just toys rising up against their children, parental overlords.
Isn't that
Fuck
just child's
you.
play?
Yeah, for the most part.
Well,
But we're doing it with Barbies and like
serial
Army
killer
Men.
possessed toy. Yeah, Army Men.
I feel like that exists at least maybe in YouTube form.
What's up?
Like toys rising up against us. I feel like
Yeah.
I watched
No,
some
there-
kind
there
of
was a-
short or something.
No, there's a movie that came out, I think, in the early '90s. Had David Cross in it, actually, but it was I thought it was called Army Men. Maybe it wasn't called Army Men.
Oh, is that the one where the little like soldier dudes in
Little
like a toy
Soldiers.
store?
Little Soldiers, I think is what it's called.
It
Yeah.
was something like what the fuck was the name of it?
Small Soldiers.
No. what was
Yes,
it?
was
Small
called Small
Soldiers.
Small
Soldiers.
Soldiers.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever watched it. I remember seeing the trailer or the commercials for it.
Yeah, I don't think I actually watched it either, but I do know the premise is that they got DARPA microchips for cheap that they implanted into toys, and then that made the toys come to life and be actual like real soldiers.
Fucking DARPA once again, man. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
I bet they have nanoscale devices already. They're just waiting for the moment to release them.
Word.
Hopefully it's for good.
Or how about Dolls? Have you seen the movie Dolls?
Is there a movie called Dolls?
Yeah.
If it was an anime, I'd watch it.
No.
Sorry. I miss Matt. This is when Matt would...
Which should all of you for watching anime?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we already have our future episode of Amazingly Terrible chosen. So, on a future episode of Amazingly Terrible, we'll be watching The Legend of Prince Valiant, episode 36, Crossbow. That was Derek's special pick, and Derek will be hosting us for that one.
Oh, hell yeah.
But next time on Amazingly Terrible, we will be watching Pro Stars, episode 10, Roll to Victory.
I am looking forward to that Prince Valiant episode.
You'll get it when you get it, people. Deal with it.
Yeah, right. Super stoked. It's probably going to be benign as fuck, but... Hey,
yeah.
You know?
Well, we'll have fun
Like,
doing
Or
it.
it's going to be like an episode of ER, basically. They're going to rush up to
I'm really hoping we go into it and it's just like shock value. It's not going to be that. It's going to be like, an arrow hit me in the dick. I'm dead.
Suck up the poison.
Right? Like, I want to see his fucking throat get blown out now.
No.
Be like, the arrow hit me in the foot. Actually, the arrow, I used to be an adventurer.
Until I
took an arrow to the knee.
I took an arrow to the face. Nice. Nice. All right. So, for Amazingly Terrible, I've been Adam.
I've been Mike.
I've been David.
And I'm Derek. Good night, folks.
Sweet. See you guys later.
Amazingly Terrible is produced by David and Adam. Music by Josh Woodward. Send your email to monotonouslyterrific@amazinglyterrible.com. Yep. It's going to be a pretty good episode. For a cat podcast.
For a cat podcast. Nice, nice.